Jeremy Keeley is an experienced facilitator and specialist in change leadership. He works with people and organisations in the commercial, professional, public, education and charity sectors. His clients include Sony, Aviva, T-Mobile, Oxford University and the Worldwide Fund for Nature. Jeremy, how would you advise the company to deal with its staff relationship dilemmas?
This is an interesting situation. I would normally advise individuals, and in this particular instance I would like to be advising Veronica Simpson, the HR director. The background is that the company knows that personal relationships are likely to form here because of the working hours and the intensity of the work. The HR director therefore should be very awake, very proactive, very in control of the situation, watching out for the warning signals of personal relationships creating a conflict of interest. With Peter Walters, the Chief Financial Officer, she should have set up a situation whereby he was not recruiting on his own, particularly where one of the members of the pool from which he was recruiting was a person he had an affair with. It's a very dangerous situation for the company, and tragic, actually, for the person who feels that they've been rejected because of the affair, rather than because of any skills at work. In the situation of Erica Stewart and Brad Johnson, Veronica Simpson should be warning both of the parties of the dangers of going into an boss-subordinate relationship when more than simply merit was the issue. She should be sitting with Brad Johnson, asking him what his real intention is and warning him of the potential disaster that he's setting himself up for. And she should be warning Erica as well, not for pushing her into it. In addition, because Erica's come to see her, the company is exposed, because Erica can always come back later and say she told the HR director about this situation. And in general, the HR director should be the one driving the policy, not the managing director.
What do you think of the proposed policy options on work relationships?
Well, they've put forward 4 options. So one is to ban relationships in the first place, or altogether. The second one is to have a love contract. The third one is that the team leader should be informed about a relationship. And the fourth one is to do nothing. So the first option, it feels to me very unfair, very unrealistic, and probably won't work. It's most likely to drive these relationships underground rather than to stop them, which would be more dangerous. And a lot of relationships are formed at work, a lot of personal relationships in life. This company has demonstrated that it is more likely. So it seems very, very unfair. The second option, a love contract, on the other hand, feels quite invasive to me. It's about a personal relationship between two people. And who is the company to decide what that contract should look like? And it has a soft feeling to it. It doesn't feel firm or useful. The third option has the basis of a good policy to me. People should be transparent about their relationships, particularly where there's a conflict of interest. And people should be able to talk about that relationship freely, and other people in the organisation should be able to talk about the impact that it has on them. People in relationship or potentially in relationship with each other should be informed about the difficulties that are likely to arise because of that relationship. And a policy that covers those things is useful, including the possibility of somebody being dismissed if their relationship sets up an illegal activity, such as has happened in the first instance with the Chief Financial Officer and the person working for them. The fourth option about doing nothing is a very dangerous option. We've already got 3 examples here where some serious implications for the company could arise. They're potentially going to be sued by somebody because she feels unfairly treated. there's another situation brewing where the HR director's been warned of a potential relationship issue, and so that could make them put them even more dangerous situation or more exposed. And another situation where team members are very unhappy with their colleagues' relationship. So doing nothing is not an option. But what's typical of this organisation here is that the HR director has been doing nothing, and really it is her that should be driving this policy, not the chief executive.
Do you know of other solutions that companies have found to this problem?
Yes. Actually, I'm finding the whole topic really intriguing, and I've done a lot of research into it recently. Public sector or governmental bodies tend to be very rigid. They have very firmly written policies, very clearly laid out, quite strictly laid out about personal relationships at work. They are allowed, but if there is any situation of a conflict of interest, people are likely to be moved and they could possibly be dismissed. In the private sector, it feels much more varied. And very interestingly, some companies have no policy at all. The companies that have no policy at all sometimes simply haven't thought about it, or actually are deliberately not having a policy because they found it might be prejudicial given the high preponderance of these relationships being between senior males and junior females, and therefore a fear that even the policy itself might be prejudicial. It's very interesting. Within the other companies that have no policies, a lot of the policies are by word of mouth. People still get dismissed, people still get moved, but that isn't firmly written down anywhere. It happens through the informal procedures in the company. And dismissals seem to be supported by the law in the majority of cases, from what I can see. By the way, there's a lot of help as well on the internet now, which I was quite intrigued by. A lot of advice on policies, which feels very straightforward from some of the policies that I've seen.